The drop pod hit atmosphere like a meteor, hull screaming as friction tore at the metal. Inside, Lieutenant Marcus Lane gripped the harness straps, teeth rattling as the descent turned violent. Red lights bathed the cramped interior. Something had gone wrong with the landing sequence. The pod wasn't slowing. "Brace, brace, brace," the automated voice droned. Marcus didn't need the warning. He'd jumped onto 14 hostile worlds in 6 years. This was supposed to be different. This was supposed to be a diplomatic escort to neutral territory, a milk run while the fleet regrouped after the battle at Kepler 9. The pod slammed into ground with enough force to crack his ribs. The harness released, and Marcus tumbled forward, gasping. Pain lanced through his chest. He kicked the hatch release. Nothing. Kicked again. The door blew outward in a shower of sparks. Purple sky, where the air tasted metallic. This wasn't the landing zone. Marcus dragged himself out onto obsidian rock. His pod had carved a trench 50 meters long through the landscape. Smoke poured from the rear thrusters. In the distance, crystalline structures rose like frozen lightning. No other pods. No rescue beacon response on his wrist display. He was alone. Blood wet his lips. Internal bleeding, probably. He'd survived worse, but not without medical support. Marcus pulled the emergency kit from his belt. Field coagulant, stimulants, 6 hours of borrowed time if he was lucky. Movement flickered at the edge of the crystal formations. Marcus drew his sidearm, ignoring the fresh spike of pain. His vision swam. 3 figures emerged, tall and insectoid, wearing what looked like medical garments, not soldiers. Their movements were careful, cautious. One raised a device that hummed with blue light. "Human," it said in clicking, synthesized English. "Injured. Critical state. Stay back," Marcus warned, aiming center mass. "We are physicians. This facility is quarantine medical research station. You must receive treatment or expire within 1 rotation." The world tilted. Marcus felt his knees buckle. The gun dropped from his fingers as darkness crowded his vision. The last thing he saw was the aliens rushing forward, their instruments gleaming under the purple sky. When consciousness returned, it came with a surge so violent Marcus arched off the table. His entire body burned like someone had replaced his blood with lightning. He tried to scream, but his voice came out as a roar that shattered glass somewhere in the room. Hands, too many hands, pressed him down. "Sedation ineffective," one voice chittered. "The catalyst has accelerated beyond projected parameters." "What did you give him?" another demanded. "Standard cellular regeneration protocol, the same we use for our own species." "He's not our species, you fool. Human biology doesn't process Vaxarian enhancement serum. It doesn't stop the burning intensified." Marcus felt his bones stretching, his muscles rebuilding themselves fiber by fiber. His broken ribs knitted together and kept going, becoming denser, harder. His heart hammered at twice its normal rate and showed no signs of slowing. Something fundamental was changing, and there was no stopping it. The burning faded to a constant electric hum beneath his skin. Marcus opened his eyes, and the world exploded into clarity. He could see individual dust particles floating in the air, could count the ridges on the chitinous hands restraining him from 3 meters away, could read the panic in the multifaceted eyes of the alien physicians, one of them smaller than the others with bronze plating along its thorax. Subject's cellular activity has increased 700%, muscle density tripling, neural pathways rebuilding at catastrophic speed. "This is unprecedented. Will he survive?" the largest alien asked. "Unknown. No human has ever been exposed to Vaxarian military enhancement serum. We used it because his injuries were fatal." "I thought," the bronze one's voice cracked, "I thought it would save him." Marcus sat up. The restraints snapped like paper. Every alien in the room flinched backward. Marcus looked down at his hands. They looked normal. But when he flexed his fingers, he could feel power coiled in every tendon. He could feel his heart pumping enhanced blood through reinforced vessels. He could feel his bones, now denser than titanium, settling into their new structure. "What did you do to me?" His voice came out steady despite the chaos raging inside his body. The bronze alien stepped forward, mandibles clicking nervously. "I am Physician Carroll. You were dying. I administered our most potent regenerative compound. It was not designed for human biology. Your species lacks the genetic inhibitors that prevent runaway enhancement. You are becoming something we cannot predict." Marcus slid off the table. His boots hit the floor and cracked the tile. He hadn't meant to step down that hard. Every movement felt like controlling a fusion reactor with touch controls designed for a candle. "How do I stop it?" "You don't," Corral said. "The serum has bonded to your DNA. It will continue optimizing your physiology until it reaches equilibrium. That could take days. Weeks more. We have no baseline for human integration." Alarms shrieked through the facility. The largest alien, who wore silver insignia Marcus didn't recognize, tapped a device on its wrist. "Security breach." Something triggered the perimeter sensors. "Multiple contacts closing on our position." "Who?" Carroll demanded. "Federation enforcement. They've been monitoring our research. If they find an enhanced human, they will classify him as a weapon. They will kill him and destroy all our work." Marcus moved to the window. His enhanced vision picked out shapes moving through the crystal formations. 30, maybe 40 armed figures in combat armor, advancing with military precision. Gunships circled overhead, their weapon systems powering up. "How long until they breach the facility?" "Minutes," the silver-marked alien said. "Our defenses are minimal. This is a research station, not a fortress." Marcus tested his new strength, closing his fist slowly. The air around his hand shimmered from the pressure. His mind raced faster than it ever had before, calculating angles and probabilities with machine precision. The enhancement wasn't just physical. His brain was processing information at speeds that made his old thought patterns feel like wading through mud. "Give me a weapon," he said. Carroll's eyes widened. "You cannot fight a Federation strike team. You are one being against an army." "I'm not planning to fight them. I'm planning to delay them while you evacuate your research and personnel." "Where's the facility's power core?" The silver-marked alien gestured to a schematic on the wall display. "Sublevel 3. But if you overload it, the explosion will level everything within 2 kilometers. Then you better start running." Marcus moved before anyone could argue. His enhanced legs carried him across the room in a blur. He hit the corridor at speeds that shouldn't have been possible for human physiology, but his new body handled it effortlessly. His vision adjusted automatically to the dim lighting. His hearing picked up every footstep, every whispered conversation, every cooling vent in the entire complex. He could feel the facility's layout in his mind like a three-dimensional map. The enhancement wasn't just making him stronger, it was making him aware of everything around him in ways that defied description. The first Federation soldiers breached the east entrance as Marcus reached the power core chamber. He could hear their tactical chatter through walls and floors. They were coordinated, professional, lethal. 2 guards stood outside the core room, insectoid beings in light armor. They raised weapons when they saw Marcus. "Stand down," he said. Krell's orders. "Evacuate now." They looked at each other, confused by this strange human moving with impossible speed. One tapped its communication device. A moment later, Corell's voice crackled through confirming the order. The guards fled. Marcus entered the core chamber. Crystalline energy columns pulsed with contained power, feeding the entire research station. Control panels lined the walls, written in languages he'd never seen before. But somehow, looking at them, his enhanced mind started recognizing patterns, extrapolating meanings, understanding the alien interface. The enhancement was still accelerating. He was becoming something more than human with every passing second. And the Federation was about to learn what that meant. Marcus's hands moved across the alien control interface with impossible precision. His mind translated the symbols faster than conscious thought, understanding flowing through him like instinct. He wasn't overloading the core. That would kill everyone, including the fleeing physicians who tried to save his life. He was reprogramming it. The facility's defensive grid hummed to life under his commands, external barriers reinforced. Internal bulkheads sealed, energy weapons that had been dormant for years cycled active. Marcus rerouted 70% of the core's output to systems the Federation strike team wouldn't expect from a research station. "Target acquired in Sublevel 3, a voice barked through the facility's compromised communication network. "Human male, alone, accessing primary systems. Lethal force authorized," another voice replied. "Containment is no longer an option." Marcus smiled without humor. Containment had never been an option. passing respectfully. He finished the sequence and stepped away from the controls. The core's energy output spiked, channeling through conduits that lit up like veins of liquid fire. The entire station trembled. Footsteps thundered down the corridor. A dozen soldiers, maybe more, their weapons powered up with distinctive whines. Marcus could hear their heartbeats, smell the various chemical compounds that made up their bodies, feel the electromagnetic signatures of their equipment. The enhancement had given him a god's awareness trapped in flesh that was rapidly becoming something beyond flesh. The first soldier rounded the corner and fired without hesitation. Plasma bolts screamed through the air, hot enough to melt steel. Marcus moved not away, through. He crossed the distance between them before the soldier could process what it was seeing. His fist connected with the alien's chest plate and the armor crumpled like foil. The soldier flew backward into its squadmates, a tangle of limbs and weapons. "Contact! Contact!" someone screamed. "Target moving at impossible velocity!" More plasma fire. Marcus felt the heat wash over him as he dodged, his enhanced reflexes turning the world into slow motion. He grabbed a rifle from a falling soldier, examined its mechanism in the fraction of a second it took to spin, and fired 3 shots that disabled the corridor's lighting. Darkness. But Marcus didn't need light anymore. His vision had shifted into spectrums beyond human perception. He saw the soldiers as heat signatures, as electromagnetic fields, as disruptions in the air currents. They were blind. He was everywhere. He moved through them like a storm, disarming, disabling, never killing, but leaving broken weapons and unconscious bodies in his wake. Some part of him, the part that was still Lieutenant Marcus Lane of the Human Federation fleet, held back from the lethal force his new body could deliver. But that part was getting quieter. The enhancement whispered to him with every heartbeat. It showed him how easily he could end this fight, how simple it would be to stop holding back, how natural it felt to embrace what he was becoming. He crushed the thought and kept moving. The facility shuddered. His reprogramming was working. Defense turrets emerged from hidden ports, forcing the Federation teams to take cover. Energy barriers subdivided the complex into kill zones. The research station had become a fortress, and Marcus was its living core. He burst into the main atrium 3 levels up. 50 soldiers occupied the space, establishing a command position. They saw him and opened fire simultaneously. Marcus dove behind a crystalline pillar as the air turned white with energy weapons discharge. The pillar held for 2 seconds before shattering. He rolled, came up running, grabbed a piece of the broken crystal, and hurled it like a javelin. The makeshift projectile punched through a support column. The ceiling groaned. "Fall back," the commander ordered. "Bring the structure down on him." But Marcus was already gone, ascending through ventilation shafts too small for armored soldiers, moving through the facility's skeleton like he'd designed it himself. His enhanced mind mapped every pathway, predicted every tactical decision the Federation would make. He emerged on the roof as gunships swept in for attack runs. Their weapons locked onto him, targeting lasers painted his chest. Marcus didn't run. He planted his feet and felt the enhancement surge through him one more time. His muscles coiled with impossible strength. The roof beneath his boots cracked from the pressure. He bent his knees and jumped. The leap carried him 30 meters straight up. His hand caught the landing skid of the nearest gunship. The pilot's shocked face appeared in the cockpit window. Marcus didn't hurt him. He just tore the skid free and used the momentum to swing himself onto the hull. The gunship spun, trying to shake him off. Marcus held on with one hand and punched through the engine housing with the other. Sparks exploded around him. The gunship started losing altitude in a controlled descent. Marcus jumped again, arcing through the purple sky toward the second gunship. He could see the weapons officer inside scrambling to get a lock on him. Could see the exact moment panic replaced training in the alien's multiple eyes. He landed on the cockpit canopy hard enough to crack it. The gunship banked hard. Marcus rode it down like surfing a falling star, then kicked off before impact, landing in a crouch that left footprints embedded in solid stone. The remaining gunships retreated. Silence fell over the facility. Smoke rose from a dozen small fires. Unconscious soldiers lay scattered through corridors. The defense grid Marcus had activated hummed with ready power. Carol's voice crackled through a nearby communication panel. "The research team has evacuated. We are clear of the perimeter." "What are you?" Marcus looked at his hands. They weren't shaking despite everything he'd just done. His heart rate was barely elevated. The enhancement had pushed him so far beyond human baseline that combat against trained soldiers felt effortless. "I don't know anymore," he said quietly. "The Federation will send more," Krell warned. "Heavier forces, they will glass this entire region rather than let you escape." "Then I better not be here when they arrive." Marcus walked toward the facility's vehicle bay, leaving the command center and its questions behind. The vehicle bay held a dozen craft in various states of repair. Marcus chose a sleek interceptor with atmospheric and void capability, ignoring the larger transports. His enhanced mind absorbed the controls in seconds, understanding the alien design through pure pattern recognition. The engines thrummed to life. Federation channels screamed with chatter about containment failure and requesting orbital bombardment. Marcus had maybe 10 minutes before capital ships turned this section of the planet into glass. He punched the throttle, and the interceptor screamed into the purple sky. Altitude climbing. 500 meters. 1,000. 3,000. The twin suns blazed overhead as he broke through the lower atmosphere. His hands moved across controls that should have required years of training, but the enhancement let him fly like he'd been born to it. "Unidentified craft, you are ordered to return to the surface immediately," a voice boomed across all frequencies. "Further flight will be interpreted as hostile action." Marcus checked his sensors. 3 Federation destroyers in high orbit, their weapons arrays tracking his trajectory. Smaller patrol craft moving to intercept. He was outnumbered and outgunned, but he was also faster than anything they'd ever seen. He diverted all power to engines, and acceleration slammed him back into the seat. The interceptor became a silver streak cutting through the sky. Gravity tried to crush him, but his enhanced body absorbed forces that would have liquefied normal human tissue. The patrol craft fell behind in seconds. The destroyers opened fire, plasma cannons painting the sky with deadly light. Marcus weaved through the barrage, his reflexes predicting firing solutions before the weapons officers completed them. One blast clipped his port wing. Alarms shrieked. The interceptor tumbled, but Marcus corrected, compensating for the damage with minute thruster adjustments that came to him like breathing. He needed to jump to faster than light, but the Federation had positioned their ships to create a gravity well that prevented jump drives from engaging. Standard blockade protocol. They'd done this before. Marcus smiled. But they'd never blockaded someone like him. His enhanced mind calculated vectors at impossible speed, finding the single gap in their coverage. A window 300 meters wide between overlapping gravity fields. He'd have to thread the needle at full acceleration while under fire from all 3 destroyers. The human he'd been 2 hours ago couldn't have done it. The thing he was becoming did it without hesitation. The interceptor screamed through the gap. Reality twisted as the jump drive engaged. Stars stretched into lines, and the purple sky vanished into the infinite black of faster-than-light travel. Marcus let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. The enhancement's electric hum settled into a steady rhythm beneath his skin. He was safe. For now, the interceptor's navigation system showed him hurtling through uncharted space. He'd grabbed the first jump coordinates that would take him away from Federation patrols. Destination unknown. Fuel enough for maybe 3 more jumps before he'd be stranded. A message icon blinked on the communication console. Marcus hesitated, then opened it. Carell's face appeared, mandibles clicking with agitation. "If you are receiving this, you escaped. Good. Listen carefully. What I did to you was not entirely accidental." Marcus's hands tightened on the controls. The Vaxarian enhancement serum was created by our military caste to produce super soldiers. It worked too well. Subjects became uncontrollable, too powerful to manage. The program was terminated and all samples destroyed, except mine. I preserved 1 dose for research purposes, hoping to find a way to control the enhancement process. Carell's eyes dimmed with what might have been regret. "When you arrived dying, I saw an opportunity." Human physiology is radically different from ours. I theorized you might integrate the serum in ways we could not. I was right. You are the only successful enhancement case in 300 cycles. Rage built in Marcus's chest, but he kept listening. The Federation knows what you are now. They have activated the Covenant Protocol, an ancient agreement among all major powers. Any being capable of threatening galactic stability must be eliminated immediately. Every government, every military, every intelligence agency in known space is now hunting you. The message flickered. But you have one advantage. There's a place the Federation cannot reach, a station beyond their jurisdiction. The coordinates are attached to this message. Go there. Find a woman named Claire who runs the underground markets. Tell her Krell sent you. She may be able to help you disappear. Carol leaned closer to the camera. I am sorry for what I have made you, but perhaps you can become something better than a weapon. Perhaps you can prove that enhancement does not inevitably lead to tyranny. Good luck, Marcus Lane. The message ended. Marcus stared at the coordinates. They pointed to a location in the galactic fringe, far from regulated space, lawless territory where pirates and smugglers operated beyond government reach. Another alert chimed. 3 ships had just dropped out of faster-than-light behind him. Not Federation. The signatures read as independent hunters. Bounty killers. Word traveled fast. Marcus checked his weapon systems. The interceptor had decent armament, but nothing designed for prolonged combat. The hunters were closing, their ships built for exactly this kind of pursuit. He could run, jump again, and hope to lose them in the void. Or he could find out exactly what his enhanced body could do in actual combat. The hunters opened fire, testing his shields with ranging shots. Marcus's hands danced across the controls, rolling the interceptor through evasive maneuvers, while his mind calculated firing solutions with computer precision. He returned fire. His shots didn't miss. The lead hunter's shields flared and died. The ship spun away, engines crippled. The other 2 spread out, trying to flank him. Professional tactics. These weren't amateurs. Marcus didn't care. He pushed the interceptor into a climb that should have torn the hull apart. The G-forces would have killed him before the enhancement. Now they just made him grin. He looped over the top and came down on the second hunter's 6. His targeting computer couldn't keep up with how fast he was processing information. Marcus switched it off and fired manually, his enhanced reflexes making the computer obsolete. The second hunter exploded in a ball of plasma. The third hunter broke off, jumping to faster than light in full retreat. Smart, Marcus set course for the coordinates Carol had given him, the fringe, a place where people went to disappear, where maybe, just maybe, he could figure out what he'd become and what it meant for the galaxy that couldn't control him. The enhancement pulsed stronger with every passing moment. He was still changing. The fringe station appeared on sensors like a tumor growing in the void. A massive amalgamation of salvaged ships, stolen habitats, and jury-rigged docking bays that somehow held together despite defying every engineering principle Marcus knew. Thousands of ships clustered around it like insects around carrion. No government flags, no military patrols, just the chaos of unregulated commerce and survival. Marcus guided the damaged interceptor toward a docking beacon. His fuel reserves blinked red. Another hour of flight and he would have been stranded in deep space. A harsh voice crackled through communications. Interceptor, transmit your ident codes and state your business. I don't have codes. I'm here to see Claire. Corell sent me. Silence stretched for 10 seconds. Then the voice came back sharper. Bay 17. Deviate from the flight path and automated defenses will atomize you. Welcome to Perdition Station. The docking approach took him through a maze of debris fields and dead ships. Marcus's enhanced vision picked out weapon emplacements hidden among the wreckage. Dozens of them, all tracking his movement. This place had survived by being prepared to kill anything that threatened it. Bay 17's doors ground open reluctantly. Marcus landed the interceptor and powered down systems that were already failing. The hull had taken more damage than he'd realized. Birdmark scored the armor. One engine was barely functional. He stepped out into recycled air that tasted like oil and desperation. 3 figures waited at the bay entrance. 2 were heavy muscle, augmented beings with obvious combat modifications. The third was human, a woman in her 40s with gray streaking through black hair, wearing a jacket covered in tech interfaces and weapon ports. "You're Marcus," she said. It wasn't a question. "I'm Clara, with the family owner. Walk with me and keep your hands visible. My associates get nervous around enhanced beings." "Carol told you what happened?" Krell told me he created something the galaxy's never seen before and that every power in known space wants you dead or dissected. Claire started walking without checking if Marcus followed. He also said you might be worth saving. I haven't decided if I agree. They moved through corridors that reminded Marcus of veins in a diseased organism. Nothing matched. Federation panels next to alien tech, next to human military components, all wired together in ways that probably violated 50 safety codes. People of a dozen species pressed against the walls as they passed, eyeing Marcus with mixtures of fear and calculation. You're already famous, Claire said. Footage of you taking down Federation gunships is spreading through the underground networks. Half the people here want to hire you. The other half want to collect the bounty on your head. How much? 10 million Federation credits. Alive. 20 million for confirmed kill and tissue samples. Claire glanced back at him. You're worth more than most small planets. They entered a section of the station that looked almost habitable. Actual walls instead of exposed conduits. Lighting that didn't flicker. Claire led him into a room filled with holographic displays showing news feeds from across the galaxy. Every single one featured Marcus's face. Enhanced human threatens galactic stability, one headline proclaimed. Rogue super soldier escapes containment, read another. Humanity's weapon, loosen the fringe, declared a third. They're scared of you, Claire said, studying his reaction. Not just scared. Terrified? Do you know why? Marcus watched footage of himself fighting. His movements looked inhuman, even to his own eyes. Too fast, too precise, too deadly. Because I'm proof that humans can be enhanced beyond their control systems. Deeper than that. Claire manipulated the displays, bringing up historical files. 3,000 years ago, a species called the Vorn discovered enhancement technology. Within 50 years, they'd modified themselves into an empire that conquered half the galaxy. It took a coalition of every other species combined to stop them. Billions died, entire worlds burned. She pulled up images of ruined cities and mass graves. The Vorn were eventually defeated, but the trauma never faded. Every major government signed the Covenant Protocol to prevent it from happening again. No species is allowed to pursue unlimited enhancement. Violations are met with immediate extinction-level response. But I didn't choose this. Doesn't matter. You exist. That's enough. Claire closed the displays, and here's what makes it worse. You're human. Humanity is already considered dangerously aggressive by galactic standards. Your species went from industrial revolution to faster-than-light travel in 2 centuries. We colonized 40 systems in 50 years. You fought 3 wars against species with 1,000-year head starts and won 2 of them. Marcus had never thought about humanity that way. From inside the species, they seemed weak compared to aliens with natural armor, enhanced lifespans, or innate psychic abilities. Now imagine, Claire continued, what humanity could become if they acquired enhancement technology. If every human soldier could do what you do. The Covenant powers are imagining it right now, and it's their worst nightmare. So they'll kill me to prevent it. They'll try, but you're not the real problem anymore. Claire's expression hardened. Someone leaked the enhancement formula, not the original Vaxarian version, but Krell's modified human-compatible variant. It hit the black market 3 hours ago. Marcus's blood went cold. How many doses? Unknown, but the data is out there. Any government or corporation with sufficient resources can synthesize it. There's going to be a race to create more enhanced humans before the Covenant powers can lock it down, and every single one of those attempts will fail the way Carol's almost failed with you. She pulled up casualty reports. 4 underground labs have already tried. 23 test subjects dead from catastrophic cellular collapse. 6 more went violently insane before their bodies tore themselves apart. The enhancement only worked with you because of a combination of factors no one can replicate. Your specific physiology, Carol's exact modifications to the base serum, the timing of administration. Pure chance. But they'll keep trying. Until they succeed or until the Covenant powers decide humanity is too dangerous to exist and glass every human world in the galaxy. Claire met his eyes. You started a countdown clock, Marcus. Not intentionally, but it's ticking. The question is what you're going to do about it. Alarms screamed through the station before Marcus could answer. Claire's tech interface lit up with alerts. Her face went pale. Covenant enforcement fleet just dropped out of faster than light at the system's edge. 40 capital ships. They're not here to negotiate. Marcus moved to the window. His enhanced vision pierced the darkness of space and saw the distant flares of ships burning toward the station. They had minutes, maybe less. They're going to destroy Perdition to kill me, he said quietly. Yes, Claire was already moving, barking orders into her communicator. Full evacuation. All ships launch immediately. This is not a drill. How many people are on this station? 50,000. We'll be lucky to get half of them out in time. Marcus felt the enhancement surge again, stronger than before. His body had been changing constantly since Corell's injection, growing more powerful, more aware, more dangerous. Maybe powerful enough to do something impossible. Get everyone to the ships, he said. I'll buy you time. Claire grabbed his arm. You can't fight a fleet alone. Even with your enhancement, you're still one person. Marcus smiled without warmth. Let's find out what one enhanced human can really do. Marcus launched from Perdition Station in a salvaged fighter that barely qualified as spaceworthy. Behind him, evacuation ships poured from every docking bay in a desperate exodus. Ahead of him, the Covenant fleet advanced in perfect formation, weapons charging for the kill. 40 capital ships against one man. The enhancement roared through his veins like liquid fire. His mind processed tactical data faster than the fighter's computer. He saw every ship's position, every weapon's firing arc, every possible angle of attack. The galaxy had spent 3,000 years preparing for another Vorn empire. They weren't prepared for him. Marcus pushed the fighter to maximum acceleration. The G-forces should have crushed him, but his enhanced body absorbed them like breathing. He streaked toward the fleet's center, a single point of defiance against overwhelming firepower. The Covenant ships opened fire simultaneously. The void lit up with enough destructive energy to crack a moon. Plasma bolts, railgun rounds, and exotic particle beams converged on Marcus's position. He flew through them. His reflexes operated beyond conscious thought, weaving between attacks with margin measured in centimeters. The fighter's hull screamed with near misses. His hands moved across controls in patterns that created new flight dynamics, pushing the craft past its design limits through pure skill and impossible reaction speed. He reached the fleet's forward screen and didn't slow down. The fighter slammed into a destroyer's shield at full velocity. The shield held for half a second before Marcus's ship punched through, tearing into the hull. He ejected before impact, his enhanced body surviving the explosive decompression that would have killed any normal human. Marcus tumbled through space for 3 seconds before catching a piece of debris. He used it to redirect his momentum toward another ship, crossing the void between vessels like stepping stones. Covenant soldiers in void suits tried to intercept him, but he moved too fast, his enhanced strength letting him change direction with tiny bursts from a salvaged thruster pack. He landed on a cruiser's hull and punched through the armor plating. Inside, Marcus became a storm. He moved through corridors faster than security feeds could track. Crew members saw only a blur before they fell unconscious from precisely calculated strikes. He didn't kill. Even now, even pushed beyond humanity, that core part of Lieutenant Marcus Lane held firm. But he disabled ships. His enhanced mind understood systems at a glance. He sabotaged engines, corrupted weapons targeting, created cascading failures that spread through the ship's network. In 4 minutes, he'd crippled a cruiser designed to survive fleet engagements. Then he'd jumped to the next ship. The Covenant fleet fell into chaos. Their formation broke as captains tried to track an enemy that moved through vacuum like water. Marcus hit 5 more ships before they adapted, sealing hulls and flooding sections with automated defenses. It didn't matter. He'd bought the time Perdition needed. His communicator crackled. Claire's voice cut through the static. Last transport just jumped clear. We made it. All 50,000. Marcus allowed himself 1 moment of satisfaction before a railgun round caught him in the chest. The impact threw him spinning into space. His enhanced body survived, but the damage was catastrophic. Ribs shattered, organs ruptured, blood boiled in vacuum. The enhancement fought to repair the damage, but even it had limits. Marcus tumbled through the void, dying. Then something changed. The enhancement surged one final time, not healing him, but transforming him. His cells reorganized at the molecular level. His body adapted to vacuum, to radiation, to the absolute cold of space. He stopped needing to breathe. His blood pressure stabilized despite exposure. His vision shifted into spectrums that could see across the entire electromagnetic range. He was becoming something beyond human, beyond Vaxarian, beyond anything the galaxy had ever created. Marcus stopped tumbling and oriented himself through pure will. His enhanced perception showed him the Covenant fleet regrouping, preparing to jump after the evacuation ships. He couldn't let that happen. He pushed himself toward the fleet's flagship through vacuum, moving faster than any ship could track. His body had become a living weapon that didn't need a vessel or armor. He was the weapon. Marcus crashed into the flagship's bridge through reinforced viewports. The Covenant admiral, a crystalline being older than human civilization, stared at him in disbelief. "This ends now," Marcus said, his voice carrying despite the vacuum. The enhancement had given him that too. "You are an abomination," the admiral replied through translators, "a threat that must be eliminated. I'm a man who was dying and got saved by the wrong medicine." Marcus stepped forward. His body was still repairing itself, bones knitting together in real time. "I didn't ask for this. I didn't want to become whatever I am. But I'm not going to let you murder 50,000 people to get to me. Then the entire galaxy will suffer for your existence." Maybe Marcus could feel ships targeting the flagship, waiting for the admiral's order to fire, even if it meant killing their commander. Or maybe I can prove that enhancement doesn't have to create monsters, that humans can handle power without becoming tyrants. The Vorn said the same thing before they burned the galaxy. "I'm not Vorn." Marcus stood straighter despite his injuries. "I'm human. We've made mistakes, but we've also learned. We've built alliances, made peace with former enemies, joined the galactic community even though species like yours tried to keep us out." The admiral was silent for a long moment. "You have killed no one today despite ample opportunity. This restraint is unexpected. Because I'm still me. The enhancement made me stronger, but it didn't change who I am." Marcus held out his hands, showing he was unarmed. "Let the evacuees go. They're not part of this. Then we can talk about what happens next. There is only one outcome the Covenant accepts: your death. Then you'll have to earn it." Marcus smiled grimly. "And based on today, I'm going to be expensive." The flagship shuddered. External feeds showed human fleet ships dropping out of faster than light. Dozens of them, led by carriers Marcus recognized. His people, responding to distress calls from perdition, coming to even odds they couldn't possibly know were impossible. The admiral saw it too. This becomes war. It doesn't have to. Marcus gestured to the human fleet. "Let me go back to them. Let me prove enhancement can be controlled. I'll submit to observation, testing, whatever the Covenant needs to feel safe. But no more hunting civilians, no more extinction threats. You ask us to trust the species that frightens us most with power, that terrifies us beyond measure." Marcus met the admiral's alien eyes. "Trust us the way we trusted you when we joined the galactic community. The way we've trusted every species we've allied with, despite being weaker, shorter-lived, and more vulnerable. Humanity has always had to trust. Now it's your turn." The admiral's crystalline structure shifted through colors Marcus's enhanced vision could read as emotional states: calculation, fear, doubt, and finally, something that might have been hope. "You will submit to Covenant oversight, full transparency. Any sign of weaponization and the protocols activate. Agreed. And if others attempt enhancement, I'll help you stop them." Marcus felt the weight of that promise. Better one controlled enhanced human than 100 failed attempts that create actual monsters. The admiral signaled the fleet. Weapons powered down. The human ships held position, waiting. Marcus looked out at the stars, at the galaxy that feared him, and the people he'd saved. Carol had been right. Enhancement didn't have to lead to tyranny. It could lead to something better. He was living proof. The enhancement hummed beneath his skin, still changing him in ways he didn't fully understand. But for the first time since waking up on that medical table, Marcus Lane felt like himself again. Human, enhanced, controlled, and ready to show the galaxy that humanity could handle power without becoming what they feared most. The future was uncertain, but for now, He'd bought humanity time to prove themselves. It would have to be enough.